Hey guys and gals, Never here from Drake Wayne Gaming, and 70 Mountain Twitter, the Gaming Dragon. Today I'm coming back at you with another Let's Play episode of Angels with Scaly Wings, Adine's Path. Ooh, excuse me, so let's go ahead and jump right back into it, shall we? Alarm chain, you were up, and let's go. We are very close to the end game now. Alright. What am I supposed to do? Do you not wish to save them? I came here to help humanity. Now you tell me that this society, this whole world, is also on the brink of extinction? This is the truth. What kind of difference could a single person like me even make to save it? Right now, it's also a single person that presents its greatest threat. Reza? How? In order to stop the comet, we will need as much power as possible. We reclaimed all the generators he stole. Besides, how could a few of them be enough to make a difference for something like this? Don't forget that Reza is still out there looking for more. The truth is, I don't know if all the generators we could gather would ever be enough. We only require enough power to divert the comet's path during a crucial moment. But even if this plan is possible, we will need every single generator we can get. So my goal hasn't changed, I just need to find Reza. Yes, but you'll need my help, and maybe the help of others. You know that Reza is dangerous, and with his gun, he has a clear advantage. Don't think that he wouldn't hesitate to kill you if you were in his way. Then what shall we do? Do you know where he is? No, but I think you'll find him soon, and you can count on my support when that happens. I see. There's one thing that still doesn't make sense to me, though. The dragons have myths about you, but they don't know or remember you. They haven't seen any humans for who knows how long. How much time could have passed since you created them and now? How many generations could it take to forget? Why isn't there proof of your existence? I don't know exactly how long it's been myself. When I realized what time period I was in, that my creation was about to be wiped out in the future, I wanted to go to that future and see what they had become. I disabled the portal's time access safeguards and thus enabled it to connect with others in different times. This also included that very same portal in the future. With the generator of our lab being able to supply the portal with power for an indefinite amount of time, I was able to travel to any point in the future I wanted to. The entry and end point of the black hole would be the same place in the same portal, with the way he traveled being just along the time axis. Since I could now search for connection points in any time period, I could look for my own portal in the future and pinpoint the moment its signal stopped. The comet. Exactly. I found that specific point in time and traveled to a future that was as close to that event as I could safely manage. After I arrived here, my escape from the portal's hiding place led to its discovery by the dragons. It and the laboratory were unearthed. I still don't understand how our portal found yours, or why we ended up arriving at this particular time period. The portal you found was no doubt one of my company's. They must have been connected before, so the corresponding data for their connection already existed when you found it. I'm not sure if that could bypass the anti-time travel safeguards, though. Was it completely operational when you found it? No, it took a little bit of tinkering. Probably jumping the hardware safeguard in the process. Now, consider that connected portals travel along the time axis together. The data for their beginning and endpoints are adjusted automatically. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to transport anything from one place in the world to another without also sending it through time. Since these two portals must have been connected at some point, the corresponding data for the connection between those two portals already existed. There you go. When using the same connection without changing any of the data, this would mean that despite the time discrepancy between those two portals, time still progressed linearly for them. I'm not sure I understand. Let me try to rephrase that. The portal you found and my own share a connection. However, while the connection is locked to a certain place, which is wherever that portal is at the very moment, it is not connected to a specific point in time. For us, in the physical machines that are the portals, time passes linearly and we can't do anything about that. However, for the black holes, this isn't the case. Just as their entry and endpoints can be in different places, they can also be in different times. In order to not send something through time, when we just want to transport something from one portal to another, the portals are anchored together in such a way that the time data is automatically synchronized. Essentially, this means that ever since you arrived in this world, the same amount of time that has passed for you has also passed in place where you came from. I see. So despite being in different time periods, time still passes linearly on both sides of the portals. Otherwise, it would not have been possible for you to send messages back and forth to each other. If they were not synchronized, the portals on both sides would stay connected not only to a single point in space, but also to a single point in time, thus making proper two-way communication impossible. However, this is only possible through the connection that has already been forged. If we wanted to, we could also use our portal to send you back to your own time period, but to a moment before Reza have even arrived here. But that would mean there would be two of me, right? Wouldn't that cause a time paradox? I can only tell you that it would work. No one has studied time travel before, though, so if there are any consequences, that I am not sure of them. Most likely an entirely new timeline would be created. There would be a timeline without a Keegan altogether, and in the new one there would be two of you. This is becoming way too complicated. I apologize. To come back to your original question, I am not sure how much time passed between the time I left my newborn society and now. Since the portal was not designed for time travel, I have no way of knowing how the variables translated to our perception of time. It could have been thousands or even millions of years. How could the portal or even its power source still be operational after all this time? The portal receives its power from the generator in the lab. These units were fitted with the absolute best technology we had to offer. It was designed to provide sustainable power completely independently from any already existing network or power lines. It gains energy from many sources: sun rays, Earth's heat and movement, just to name a few. Keep in mind, it had to power a whole laboratory and research station, while also providing the energy required for all its inhabitants and the associated energy expenditures. Taking its power from the Earth itself, a generator like this could continue providing power to the lab indefinitely. Speaking of which, why haven't I seen a single dinosaur since I arrived? It seems that the Dragon Society expanded over the whole continent. Many still hunt on their own for sustenance, and as such, the original species they were based on have mostly vanished. As in direct competition, ours proved to be far superior. Also, they have probably taken measures against having big predators roam their cities and villages. Yet while the dragon population has increased tremendously, I have found that by and large, our society as a whole has not changed much. Is that why everything here looks like it was made for humans? I suppose so. The learning program I initially used gave them knowledge about things and how to create them. Yet, of course, those were only human inventions and designs. They never once stopped to think that they should adjust how certain things look. A lot of the furniture and objects I've seen look very impractical for a dragon. I was surprised at that too, but I have an explanation for this phenomenon. Don't forget that their genome was designed by an AI program to make them into effective bioweapons. The idea was to have them indoctrinated at a young age. After reaching adolescence, their learning capacity would be greatly diminished. This resulted in subjects that would stay loyal and be unlikely to change their desired behaviors. Instincts also play a role. I imagine they are very much at odds with their learned behavior. Instincts in animals never change, and instinctual behaviors will always be there. If a given trait has been programmed into their genome as an instinct, it is not very likely to change, even through numerous generations. We can see the result of this here. While I initially made them learn a certain set of values and knowledge, I found that the expression of those ideas has hardly changed. And after I was gone, each new generation learned from its elders, and much of the initial knowledge and information was retained through all this time. Their genome as a whole did change, however, which was unavoidable over time. If they had been used as bioweapons as intended, they would have been nothing more than an army of identical clones. While I can see subtle changes in behaviors as a result, some traits are still very much present in them. They're content with what they have and don't strive for more. They don't innovate or change, so technological breakthroughs or new inventions are a rarity. It's quite the opposite, really. They very much value tradition, and their ways have not changed much in all these years. I see. How much time do we have left to stop the comet? In a few weeks, the comet will pass the moon, and its gravity field will point the comet's trajectory toward Earth. This is when we will need to be ready. If we strike then, we only need to minimally affect its path in order for the comet to pass Earth safely. It won't be enough time for the inhabitants of this world to prepare if Reza steals our greatest assets. So it's all about Reza and the generators, isn't it? Indeed. By the way, I fixed the portal in case we need to use it. Did you break it to prevent me from being sent away? No, that wasn't me. Reza better not use it to escape. Trust me, the portal is our greatest asset. I programmed it with emergency coordinates. If you should find yourself in a hopeless situation and feel there is no other way out, go to the portal. I have made sure only you will be able to use them. I'll keep that in mind. So what's your plan? What do we do now? I will resume my work, and you will continue yours. Find Reza. The administrator turned to leave. Wait, what's with all the secrecy? Why are you still wearing that mask? Why don't we pool our resources together and you show me your hideout? Don't you think it'd be better if you were completely frank with me? No, not now. Second, yeah. A second later, the figure had already vanished into the darkness outside. When I followed, I realized that I wasn't sure how to get back to my apartment. Surrounded by trees and the blanket of night, it was hard to make out where I stood. After wandering through the underbrush, I realized that the lights on the horizon had to be coming from the village, and made my way back. I returned to my apartment without much trouble. When I looked at the clock, I was surprised to see how much time had passed. Not having anything left to do for the day, I soon fell into a deep slumber. Seems there's nothing for me to do this morning. I guess they don't need me at the police department. Not that I mind. Seems I've got some messages. Let's see. Hey, are you coming to see the show? It's gonna happen pretty soon, you know. I trained so much for this, you wouldn't believe. Probably harder than I ever trained in my entire life. I really hope you can make it, because I want to show you all I've got. Meet with Adine. It must be her. Hey, Keegan. Hey, Adine. Are you ready to go? I sure am. Can't wait to see everything the festival has to offer. Oh, I'm sorry if it came across that way, but I don't think we'll actually have much time to take part in the festivities. Oh, really? Yeah, I'll have to spend most of my time at the competition grounds. We'll arrive there early so I can check in and do my warm-up. And I'll still have to stick around for after my performance and wait for the award ceremony. Well, I guess you don't have to wait with me. You could see the rest of the festival if you wanted to. It's out of the question. I'm here to spend time with you. The festival is not that important. Besides, we can always see everything on one of the other festival days. True. We could even watch the big fireworks show at the end. Yeah, I've heard about that. Everyone keeps telling me how important it is for me to see. Ooh, excuse me. It's not that important, but if you have the opportunity, you should really go. I'm not sure if I'll be able to attend, but I'd gladly accompany you if I have the chance. Sure, so today's agenda is emotional support, and next time we can take in all the aspects of the festival. Sound good? Perfect. Alright, let's go then! It took a while for us to arrive at the festival, which had already begun by this point. The last of the booths that lined the way were still being set up, but dragons of all shapes and sizes were already pouring in. Instead of walking directly through the festival, we stayed outside and established the established paths, heading towards the stage where the competition was going to be held. Eventually, we arrived at a rather large open area near the facility that had been roped off. At one corner of the building, a few flyers had already gathered. Maybe you should wait here while I get my number. Why? People might get the wrong idea if you show up in the registration line. Besides, they'd certainly stare and start asking all kinds of questions. Alright, I'll just stay here then. I'll be right back. After Adine had waddled off to the other flyers, I surveyed my surroundings idly. Beyond the big open area, seating had been provided, and I could already see a few people waiting for the competition to start. A few had even gathered on the roof of the building to watch from there. Alright, y'all, I'm actually going to go ahead and pause it right there. Thank y'all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and check out our Patreon if you can. It always helps. Before I go, I'm going to give a quick shout-out to our lovely bronze tier patrons. Thank y'all if I do for the channel. We greatly appreciate your support. Thank you to our silver tier patron, Cade Silver, and thank you going above and beyond. It's greatly appreciated. And thanks to our two gold tier patrons, Zeke and Toby. Y'all are awesome. We love you. Thank you for subbing to Ultimate Tier. Anyway, if y'all want to get your names in the credits, get access to all of our not safe for work contents as little as $5. Alrighty, I love you all, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye-bye!